record on this computer. Here we go. And we're all off and running. Welcome everyone to Telecall number 2, Conversation with the Future. So we had amazing conversations yesterday, and I'd be very interested to hear as the day goes on what awarenesses people had from what we were talking about yesterday, and also the other questions that you got from today. But really, if we start this one off by, we invited you all at the last telecall to uncreate and destroy everything that you thought that you knew or didn't know about what the future was and about what these calls were. And I think as part of that, we found that the conversations that we had then weren't constrained by people not knowing what the future was or wasn't. So the question that we've got for you today is, what questions do you have of the future that we can now start having a conversation about now? That's a question. And as you're thinking about that, one of the things that we wanted to do as this call goes on is to give you some examples of, in our life, how these conversations with the future have occurred, and in particular, the tapping into the energy of what we wish our future to be. And someone's got the audio on. Pam, can you mute?
Can you hear me?
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yep, but you'll have to mute because it's echoing.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, did you have a question? Then go for it.
Yes. Go ahead, Pam.
It's all yours, Pam.
Okay, my husband died July 1st. I've been taking care of him for 2 years. Now all of a sudden, I've got this whole brand new future in front of me. And I'm not sure what questions to ask. There's this whole possibility of things. So that's it.
Well, that's probably what the future's whispering to you. There's a whole possibility out there for you that now you can choose, as you've always had that ability to do, but what is it that you wish to create as your life, having gratitude for the past, but not letting that then create your future?
So first question, Pam, are you willing to perceive and receive that there are infinite possibilities for you, available for you out there? Would you be willing to become aware of what else is possible for you and willing to be in the question about what would you like to create and generate as your life?
So yesterday, I came away from the class feeling like possibly I have misidentified what business is, and that being me and wherever I go, that it doesn't have to look like what you do or what Dane does, but I change people just by being there. So having to put a price tag on that has been really something I didn't want to do. But I love going around and making a difference in people's lives.
And what if it was what people, often the only way people are willing to receive is if they also pay for something. So by you not being willing to put a price tag on something means that you actually don't want people to receive. So you do want people to receive. So maybe the key to that is by actually putting a dollar amount around it. Otherwise, you've already got expectations of what putting a price tag means, and you could tap into what a lot of people think. I can't put a price on it because that would demean it. It's way too important for that. I'm just going to be me. I'm going to do this. That. Hang on a second. Totally missed the point. People can only receive when they're willing to receive. And so by actually putting a dollar amount around it, or in your terms, a price tag, you're actually enabling them to receive and also weeding out the ones that will not receive. So if you start to look at setting prices from that perspective, so there's always two elements. What price will I need to set to enable people to receive what I'm saying, and what price will I set that makes it fun for me, and then I'll add another 10% on top of that just because I can, because otherwise I'll be too comfortable.
Is the description price tags create limitation in your world?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So what judgment do you have about price tag? What judgment do you have about the need to charge people for what you do? Everywhere that you have projection, expectation, judgment, and conclusion about what having a price set on what you are doing is right, is wrong, is good, bad. Would you like to try and create all of that? Right or wrong, good or bad, POC and POD, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. What if you could just set the price for what you do? What would come to your mind right now? How much would you be willing to receive?
Zero. I mean,
everything that is carboxylic and destroy and create it all, please. Right or wrong, good or bad, POC and POD, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. In this 10 seconds, you got zero. So what projection, expectation, judgment, and point of view do you have about you in regarding to the value that you could provide to people, that you are very easy with it and you enjoy doing it? What are you not willing to receive of you? That if you're willing to receive it, would create total reality, totally different reality. So what price would you be happy to receive? What price would you be willing to receive from people?
I got nothing.
Okay, let me, now, for everyone else, I'm about to trick Pam. Pam, go out 12 months. All right, into the future. Listen to what the future's saying. What's the future saying that you're actually willing to receive in 12 months? Now, go out 2 years. What's the future whispering to you now that you're willing to receive in 2 years? Not now, in 2 years. Now, tap into that energy. Now, right now, what price are you willing to receive? Listen to the future.
Okay, it feels expansive in the future, but I got no way to price who I be.
So there's some barrier between you and the future that if you were willing to say, no, I'll change my point of view about it, that can actually then change your life.
I don't do a service that people would want to pay for. I just be me, and sometimes somehow people change. There
are so many things that you can be and do in this world that you don't provide a service, that people want to give you money anyway. It's not linear. So would you be willing to see that it's not linear? You don't have to do something for people, or you don't have to do service for people, but by being you, there could be many different possibilities and many different things that the universe can assist you and provide you the money. You have to be willing to destroy and uncreate that I have to do the service, I have to do this to get that. And by asking you what's the value you would like to receive, it doesn't mean that you're going to put the price tag in your service, because you don't have a service anyway, like you said. But what if you are being a catalyst for change and for different possibilities in the world, and you are willing to receive people to and the universe to give me money, to give you money with total ease? What would that be like? If you have no idea about what it is that you're willing to receive, universe would have no view about what the universe can send to you or so. So become aware of what you would like to create as your life and your future. And the money will follow anyway, because you started talking about you want to create business and create money without being a business and without having the money. To be able to do that, you have to be willing to be aware of what it is that you would like to create as your life, your reality, and your future. Unless you have that awareness, you will not know when possibility appear, and when possibility actually happening, appearing every moment. But if you don't know what you would like to create as your reality and your future, you would not know when to receive that.
And the thing with all of this for everyone is, and don't try and visualize what this future is going to be. Just tap into the energy of it. Be aware of what the possibilities are without trying to define it, because everyone has the most glorious future in front of them, and that starts today with the choices that you make. So Pam, for example, instead of getting yourself tied up into, I have to have a service and I have to have a price tag on these services, maybe you turn that around and say, well, what if I didn't have to have services and could still create and generate money in ways that people don't even know that I'm doing it? And there's a billion ways that you can do that. You know, you can get into all sorts of different areas that where you're not providing a service in this reality, but you're actually creating money. Pretty much that's what the share market is, what trading is, a whole lot of other different things that even if you have no experience or no skills in that, it takes the choice today to start getting the experience and the skills. Everything starts with the choice that I'm going to start to learn more about this.
And it is not about doing either, Pam. It's about being. You know, we were talking yesterday that it's who you are choosing to be is the first things that you have to be aware of when you are looking to what would I like to create as my future? What would I like to create as my life? Who am I choosing to be here? Who am I not willing to be here? All of those questions. What am I refusing to do here? What am I refusing to be here? I think that's probably easiest for most of us to become aware of than who am I willing to be here. So like yesterday when I had the question that for everyone was that whatever you are resisting doing, for example, you're resisting setting up the value of what you're willing to receive from people. That's what you are resisting being. So if you are resisting being, you are just resisting doing it all together, which means you're resisting receiving, because doing, being, and receiving are simultaneous. So being aware of the fact that you are resisting doing, whatever you are resisting doing at the moment, Pam, you don't have to get the answer for us, but keep asking yourself, what am I resisting doing here that I'm also resisting being? So the key question is, what am I resisting being that if I'm not, I would create greater possibility and greater reality? And become aware that anything that you're resisting doing, ask what needs to change. What can I be and do different to choose that? So in this 10 seconds, we were talking about the amount of money that you're willing to receive for being you. So if you set the amount of money that you're willing to receive just being you, you don't have to do anything. If just by being you, you can receive any amount of money. By value what you have to provide to the world. What would that look like? What's that amount of money that you're willing to receive? And just sit with that.
That's where it all starts. It starts with that willingness to receive. And the other thing is that, Pam, you just had a big aha moment about 5 minutes ago, which was when you tapped into the future and you were willing to listen to the future. You said it felt very expansive. That's the energy where you create from now. If in doubt, tap back into that energy, because it's always been there for you. And if you're feeling as if you don't know, just tap back into that energy and then keep asking the questions. That's where it starts to become real fun.
So I have a question for everyone. Are you consciously creating your future? Are you consciously creating your life and your reality? Just ask yourself that. If not, what needs to change?
So we've had Mr. Dom, are you there? So we had...
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Hi,
there
Dom.
he is.
Hey.
We can't see you. Let's have a look.
Yeah,
What does
where's your
Dom look
picture?
like?
So
Yeah.
what does Dom look like?
Hang on, let me...
Well, there, right
Oh,
there.
there he
Yeah,
is.
hi, Dom.
Okay.
Hi.
You had some questions, and I know you emailed me previously about them, but can you just say for everyone's edification what your question is?
Okay, so I work in engineering, very conservative organization with flight test and developing new aircraft. We're trying to change the way we certify and validate aircraft, but with that conservatism comes a lot of resistance. And so the first time you ask a question in a room, it's immediately met with 20 reasons why that's not a possibility. So my real question is, how can I be the energy and be the catalyst of change for everybody else to move on? And even if my idea is not the one that works, get the conversation going around whatever ideas, whatever thoughts I've come up with.
You've just described most of the boardrooms I go into. This is very practical, what I'm about to say now, but it works particularly with professionals and those that have already determined that they think they're pretty much right. And that is when they come back with, it won't work because, then I always respond with another question. Well, if that wasn't so, what would that look like? Well, if that wasn't so, what would that look like? Well, if it did work, what are the questions we'd need to ask so that we could look at doing it? I understand that you recognise that this probably won't work, but what are the other ways that we haven't considered that isn't what I've said that would enable us to look at it in a different way? What I find, Dom, with the use of question is that it so confuses people that they can no longer hold on to their fixed point of view about why it will or won't work, and you can trick them into looking at things from a different perspective unless they are so fixated in their view that everything comes back to just that point of view. Then they're either got such a fixed point of view, or they're actually a bully, and we find a lot of bullies around, where they will try and actually get everyone to align and agree with them. And because they're very good at it and very forceful at it, unless it's called out, people will tend to align and agree. So we deal a lot with bullies in the boardroom. We deal a lot with bullies in senior executive teams. I've actually had to remove quite a few bullies from boards. And it's all about the manipulation of them through the use of question so that others can actually see what's going on.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. So what do we do with the passive-aggressive bullies who, because we work across multiple sites, we have a lot of conference calls, and you'll see a lot of people, they'll drop themselves on mute and then go have a side conversation and basically run subterfuge on everything that you're proposing.
Yeah.
So it's dealing with those people as well.
Yeah, well, it's also recognizing that's who they choose to be. And, you can call them out. See, one of the greatest gifts that I could give you, Dom, if you were willing to receive it.
Yes.
Act as if you were the chair of every meeting that you were in.
Yeah.
Act as if you were the chair of every meeting that you were in. Now, what does that mean to you?
That means I change the conversation around.
Yeah. What does a good chair do?
Ask probing questions and keeps the meeting flowing.
Yep. Okay, what if you were that? And what if you had no investment in the outcome, but you actually started fine-tuning your chairing skills by doing exactly what you know a good chair would do? Even though you're not the chair, you can be the chair by just being you. And then you can manipulate and call people's behaviour out and also facilitate others to have their points of view. No. A good chair of any meeting is not someone who dictates and controls that meeting. What they're doing is manipulating the meeting so that what needs to be said can be said. So maybe have a little look around about what it means to be a good chair, and have a talk to some good chairs and start to get some of the skills together. But the key skill in all of this is to ask the questions that will get people to look at something differently, and to call people's behaviour out when you need to call it out.
So my question for you, Don, when you actually go to any of these meetings, and the meeting with, whether it's online or whether it's in person, do you go in as the chair of the meeting, or are you going in as just from the lack of a better word, just an engineer?
I go in as go in both capacities.
Okay, so we are talking about, so what would it be like from now on in every space that you go in? You become the generative energy, space, and consciousness of the chair of that meeting. People will know your energy when you walk in. When you walk in as the leader of the whole meeting, and be that energy of the leader of that meeting. Start every meeting off as the generative energy, space, and consciousness of the leader of that meeting. What would that be like?
And if I can just add to that, one of the greatest tools, and every one of you can use this, and you've seen me do it a couple of times on this call as well, always summarize at the end what you've heard people say, because then they will agree with what it is that you've summarized without them even realizing that they have actually changed their point of view about things.
And
Pam likes that one.
I would recommend this one before you have the meeting with anyone, particularly one of those totally intense meetings that you know that 90% of the people will not be interested in whatever you have to say. And the other 10% will totally be anti-conscious and reject everything that you have to say. If you could actually start being there with saying to yourself, what generative energy, space, consciousness can my body and I be that would allow me to be a conscious, benevolent leader that I can truly be? Because you are a conscious, benevolent leader. And we do that kind of things. What generative energy, space, consciousness can my body and I be that would allow me to be a catalyst for change and for different possibility in this meeting with total ease? And just be that energy and willing to receive whatever transpires.
I love it, Brett. You've summarized it beautifully. For those of you who see the chat, Brett said, I'm getting it. It's not about getting a result, but getting somebody to look at something from a different perspective. You got it. You nailed it, Brett. That's exactly what we're talking about.
Thanks, Brett.
It's funny, like I've known that on like a theoretical level for a long time, and I'm just like, holy shit. Like that's actually how to apply it. Holy crap. Thank you so much. This is
coming
like,
back about being again. Who are you choosing to be? And I'm just recommended those questions to start at the moment, because once you start being those questions, you just be those questions without even have to consciously ask. But the first few times before you're going to be into the meeting with corporate psychopaths, or the bullies, or people who, that just to resist you and react to everything that you have to do, or just anyone that you come into contact with. What generative energy, space, consciousness can my body and I be that would allow us to be a catalyst for change and for different possibilities with total ease? And just be that, and don't expect anyone to change. Don't expect anyone to be different. And you'll be surprised what people can receive from you.
One of the interesting questions that came out, Stephanie's asked through Carlina, the host of all questions, Stephanie's asked, how do you call out the bullies? Are you interested in knowing some techniques for doing that? Okay, I'm seeing a couple of nods around the place.
Yes.
All right. So one of the things with bullies is recognizing, now don't buy into what everyone says a bully is, because, you know, if someone doesn't like what you're doing with them, then they'll call you a bully. So it's not about using it as a weapon, but just understand that a bully is someone who, over an extracted period of time, is using whatever weapons at their disposal to destroy people around them until they get what they want. So that's pretty much what a bully is. So the way to call them out is when they start using words to manipulate and demean and force people into doing things, and you know that energy of bullying when you come across it, then use their own words to get them to look at what they mean by that. And this is a technique I learned from Gary Douglas many, many years ago, and I've used it shamelessly ever since. And that is where you say to a bully who comes out with a word that says, you know, you're being unprofessional and demeaning in the way you're going about this. Okay, so they're accusing me of something. They're trying to force me to stop and change. So the way to deal with that is to just use whatever words they're using that they're creating this bullying energy from, and ask them the following question. So what do you mean exactly by, and then whatever the word is there. So what exactly do you mean by? So what exactly do you mean by? And it gets them to dive down into what it is that they meant by those particular words that they're using to try and force and manipulate behavior. So Dom, if you find people that are using particular words of, this will never work, and it'll never work, and it'll never work, then what you could say to them is, well, what exactly do you mean by never work? And that terminology, and particularly the word exactly, forces people to look at what it is that they had behind the comments that they were making. So try that. It actually works really well. The other thing is, when you call out someone's behavior, what I mean by that is just letting everyone else, including that person, know what that behavior is. So that if someone is doing something like having mini conversations in the boardroom, then you just say to them, can you please stop having conversations in the boardroom? Please stop having these side conversations. Okay, enough of these side conversations. Or whatever it is that they're doing, just call it out. Make it obvious to others of what's going on. What will then happen is the people around you will learn the tools that you're using, will start to use it themselves. And then all of a sudden, you do get peer pressure from colleagues to actually manage that person's behavior.
Okay. I have actually done I've just stopped a meeting cold and waited for the side conversation to finish.
Be a bit more overt.
And it seems to stop altogether.
Yeah. So be more overt about it and act as if you were the chair. And that's what I'd suggest to everyone. Whenever you're in any meeting of any sort, act as if you were the chair of that meeting, a good chair of that meeting, which means get people talking without having any judgment about what they're saying, facilitate others to make their points of view known, but keep it short, summarize what people are saying when you need to summarize it, call out behavior where someone is trying to cut someone else off, and make sure that it's all focused towards creating the change that's required. Now, that's a good chair. Okay, so I'm looking at the question sent here. Carlina, 2 years in the future, she says. So 2 years in the future, is that what I'm asking for now? Or am I asking to receive that now? The answer is yes.
So Carlina, is she there? Hi. So what do you mean by that question? So is that, why 2 years?
Because I mentioned it.
Earlier on, that was from way before when you guys had us look at the price that we were charging, and go 12 months and then 2 years. It's
not a fixed number of years.
No, so 2 years is more than 1 and less than 3. It means nothing other than it's just not now. And the whole...
It wasn't about the 2 years. It's like you had us look at what like in the future, you had us look at in the future, what would we be asking for or willing to receive? And so it's like now that I know what that is, whether it's 2 or 5 years in the future, am I now asking to charge that, or am I now asking to receive that so that I can charge it when it shows up?
Carlina, are you trying to make all this solid and real?
No, I'm trying to figure it out though.
Okay, the figure it out is also it's more like making it too solid. So everything that is time of God, sealing and destroy and uncreate it all, please. Okay, so question for you. Are you aware of what you would like to create as your life and your future?
I'm aware of an energy, and I know I need to ask more around that.
Mm-hmm. So you know what that energy is like that you would like to create as your future?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right then. So basically, exactly what you said, Steve. You want to expand more on that?
So when I asked Pam to go out 2 years, it was just to get her over this bloody barrier she's put in place for right now. Right. The aha moment she had was it's very expansive in the future. Okay, that's the energy that you tap into right now. Because often we're so tied in with the here and the now that we're not willing to look to see that the future is going to be magnificent, fantastic, yet we ignore that energy by focusing just on what we think we know right now, which is, oh, it sucks and I'm confused. Okay. So when you're able to tap into the energy, you know that it's going to be magnificent because you won't let it be anything other than magnificent. And every choice that you have from now on then taps into that energy of this future that you've already tapped into, which is much more expansive and magnificent than what you're willing to actually recognize now. Now, from that space right now, you can ask what you're going to charge. Don't ask the future how much. Ask the future, what is that energy? And then tap into that right now. Because then you start to get over, okay, I can only do this, or this reality says I can only do that. Tapping into the future and listening and having that conversation with the future is about the energy of it and functioning from that energy right now, not waiting for the future because it's already here with you right now and that energy. So don't go down the rabbit hole of trying to get the future to give you answers. The future will give you energy. And if you're willing to tap into that energy, then you can start to look at what the options are available to you right now.
And I would like to add to that too, Carlina, that everything you are asking for is about creating for now and for the future. Not just now or just the future. It's everything to do about creating for now and for the future. Because your future creates with every choice you make in the here and now. And so whatever choice you make now, you would have to be willing to ask, am I creating that for now and for the future?
Okay, cool. And I just got, while you guys were talking too, it's like with Pam, you used it for charging, but this is something I can apply to absolutely everything that I'm looking at.
Yep.
Everything.
And then see if it matches and bring it forward.
Mm-hmm.
Let me give you a very specific example. And this is one that happened just a couple of weeks ago. So working with this major health client, they're a community health centre, very, very large one, about $100 million turnover. So they had asked me to do a governance review. This is all about 5 or 6 weeks ago. And when I was talking with the CEO and his personal assistant, I got this, I'm not sure I want to work with this person. He's already decided what he wants out of this review. He's already starting to tell me how I should do it. And he's already said that he wants me to travel 3 hours by car to come and meet him. I'm willing to walk away from this. So so what I did is I looked at this and said, okay, I'm willing to walk away. I really, this doesn't work for me. Then I did something very strange. I asked the question, so what would this look like in 2 years? Would this create change in my world and their world in 2 years, in 1 year? And I got, for the weirdest ass reasons, I got a yes, this will create change. What in the world is going on? I got this person who I really don't want to have work with, yet the future is whispering to me that this is going to create change. So I thought, okay. So I changed my point of view about this person then and there. I said, okay, I have no point of view about this person. I destroy and uncreate any attachment or no attachments to this person. I am willing to be the question in all of this. Then I had another conversation with him the next day and his chair, and it was like someone had pulled a switch in his universe, because all of a sudden he was creative in the question. It was like, geez, did a walk-in just occur? The only difference that occurred was that I changed my point of view by not having a point of view about it. And then when I went and did their governance review, a number of different things happened. Number one, they said it was the best thing they'd ever had by an outside consultant in their whole 70 years of history. The most practical, the most amazingly focused. Every one of their directors thoroughly enjoyed the whole process, and they wanted me to come back and do more work. That was the energy that the future was trying to get me to recognize. The whole thing changed when I changed my point of view about it, but I was willing to listen. And it was that weird ass question, okay, so will this create change into the future? It will, but I don't want to do it. But will it create change in the future? In my life and their life? Yes. Oh, damn, okay. I better get over my point of view then. Real example.
Thank you.
Carlina, would you be willing to be the one that we can create example for everyone to perceive and to know what we mean by creating the future? Would you be willing to play with me on that, and you be the one as like a voice for the rest of the group about what it means, so we can have a conversation together? So this is for everyone, but I'm just asking Carlina to be the voice, the question, the one who would respond to our question. So the first question is, when you were saying that you just trying to figure it out about what we mean about creating the future, are you trying to figure that out with your cognitive mind?
Yeah.
So everything that is time, Godzilla, destroy and uncreate it all, yeah. Please. Right or wrong, good or bad, POC and POD, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. What would it be like if you don't have to use your mind, your cognitive mind, to actually figure it out what it means? Would you be willing to claim on and acknowledge that you actually know what it means to create the future? Even though in this 10 seconds you said, I have no idea what that is, would you be willing to claim on and acknowledge that you already know that? Yeah. And so everything that would not allow you to claim on and acknowledge that you already know what it means to create your life and your future with conscious awareness, destroy and uncreate it all. Right or wrong, good or bad, POC and POD, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Does it give you more space or less space when I ask you to be that?
Way more, like Crystal's doing. Way more.
Okay. So what would it be like if you never have to figure it out, what it means to create your future? What would it be like if you just tap into the energy of what you would like to have as your future, and don't try to define it? Don't try to define what that future is going to look like and be like. Just tap into that energy. Is that future that the energy of the future that you would like to create as you're alive and living, is that going to create greater possibilities for you, for the world, and for everyone concerned?
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally.
So from now on, every choice that you make, would you be willing to make the choice that will match that energy of that future?
Yeah.
That would create greater possibility for you, for the world, and for everyone concerned.
Yes.
Because as we know that the future is being created by every single choice we make right here, right now. Would you be willing to claim on and acknowledge that every single choice you make right now is contributing to create your future?
Yeah. Yeah.
So is it a yep, or yeah?
It's a like, right. Oh, got it.
Everything that is time with Godzilla, destroy and uncreate it all, please. Right or wrong, good or bad, talk and pot, online, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And this is for everyone. Would you be willing to claim on and acknowledge that every single choice that you make right here, right now, are actually contributing to create your future and your reality? Everywhere that would not allow you to perceive, know, be, and receive that, please destroy and create it all, please. Right or wrong, good or bad, talk and pot, all nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. I mean, we hear that all the time, but what did they, oh yes, we hear Steve just pointed out some comments that written, so it's such a distraction. We hear that all the time, that our future created by the choice that we make, but we don't actually being that and choosing that. So what would it take for us to be that and choose that? And conversation with the future is about claim and acknowledge our capacity to know that what our choice is going to create into the future, whether it's going to create limitation or whether it's going to create possibilities. That is the conversation with the future. You know that this choice I'm just about to create now, is it creating greater possibility, or is it going to create more limitation in my life? And, you know, at the end, you can choose to do it, but do it from a total awareness that I'm creating the choice. This choice I'm creating now is just for now, not for the future. And if you want to create, you know that you are create for now. And if you ask, is this choice I'm making is create for now and for the future? Then you know, you do the whole thing from awareness. You have a question that you said that someone wrote something. Anything you want to say?
Thank you. Thank you.
So that is the thing about creating the choice. And another question that I have for everyone, and if you're still willing to be my guinea pig here, Carlina, as the one who will be the voice for everyone, is, are you willing to claim on and acknowledge that there are infinite and multiple possibilities available for you?
Yes.
I just heard that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I just heard that.
Well, what's that?
Crystal said, I just heard that.
So would you be willing to claim on and acknowledge that there's no limitation out there? There's an infinite possibility, in multiple possibilities out there. Unless you actually claim that, you would not be able to create multiple stream of income and multiple stream of possibility for yourself.
Right, and when we're trying to figure out,
Holy fuck!
When we're trying to figure it out, you're actually limiting all of those possibilities.
Okay, every time you're trying to figure it out, you create the limitation because your mind only can figure out limited amount of possibilities. So if you be willing to see that there's a multiple possibility out there, and the thing is, because there are so infinite multiple possibilities out there, if you don't know what you would like to create as your future and as your life, if you don't know that energy, you're going to be overwhelmed by the multiple stream of possibilities that are available to you. Then you wouldn't know which one would be the choice that you would like to create. You will want to try to do everything. I mean, you all have such an expanded awareness, particularly those one who's been into all the classes. Your awareness would expand so exponentially. You're going to be overwhelmed by, okay, I have so many choices. I don't know what to choose. But if you know that what you want to create as your future and your reality, then you'll be able to say, okay, this possibility here that I received, yeah, it's matched. It's actually matched what I would like to create as my future. Yes, I'm going to choose to play with it and be with it. And this one, it sounds so much fun, and it's going to create a fun time for the here and now, but it's not going to create greater possibility for me, for the world, for everyone concerned. But it's going to entertain me right here, right now. Would I choose it? If it's going to be fun and it's going to keep you entertained for a little bit, then choose it. I mean, there's no hard and fast rule that you have to choose everything that will create the greater possibility and greater reality for the now and the future, and disregard everything else, because there are a lot of things that we choose to go and be and have with our friend that's not going to create greater possibility in the future. But we still choose to do it, but we do it from the choice that we are making, not because we on the autopilot mode or because we are obligated to be with people. Is that making sense about how to look at multiple stream of possibility and what you could actually do to use that to create your future?
Yeah, it's making a lot of sense.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you. That was amazing.
Okay, what questions do you have of us? Oh, and right on time, Kalpana. Where is she?
Hi, Kalpana.
Hi everybody.
So we do this. Mwah.
Right back to you all.
And Kalpana has been dancing for the Queen, and I said to her, how does the Queen get to be so loud?
I didn't dance, but my company danced, yeah. I had a question about, so actually it is about dance. I am working on a tour with my new piece in India, and it's a huge project. And I'm aware of that it demands of me to be an energy that I have not been willing to be now, for that to be created in the future.
Nice.
Can you talk about that? Because it's like, ooh.
You're doing a great job of it already. Tell us more.
Yeah, are you willing to be that energy?
Yes, and there's something there.
And what is that?
It's nearly like, how do I not fall into the default of how one has to do that? Or, yeah.
So what generative energy, space, consciousness would you and your body be that would allow you to be that energy? The energy that the project, the team, the dance routine require you to be. And that's the question that at the moment you have a yes but.
Yeah, exactly.
But you have. This one, you don't even have to know what the but is in terms of the cognitive things. So what you could just destroy and uncreate all of the projection, expectation, judgment, conclusion, assumption, and computation that you have about that but. Totally destroy and uncreate it all. And whenever you sense that energy keep on coming, you just say, destroy and uncreate all of that. And I use those things all the time. That for the past 15 years, I'm becoming the generative energy, space, and consciousness that would allow me to step into the being that I would like to be. And it's a thing that we have to build the muscle to be in that space. So for you, Kalpana, what generative energy, space, consciousness can your body and you be? And just put in what you just said then, the energy of, feel that energy of the energy of what that require of you with total ease. And everything that would not allow that to happen, destroy and uncreate it all. And you will keep on being in that space by being the generative energy space, by being that question of being generative energy, space, and consciousness.
It's interesting because what I realize is that I'm actually fucking excited. It's like, and I was also misidentifying that as like stress or projection or expectation or something like that.
Is that your stress, projection, and expectation?
No.
Or else?
from other people, because it's like 15 people on tour, and like finding money for 15 flights and the hotel for a week, and like just like that. And I realize with your clearings that there's a huge excitement in my world, that if I would be willing to actually create that, wow.
Are you the leader of this tour?
I mean, it's my company basically making it happen. Usually you get invited to perform and you get paid, but this is me. Like somebody said, do you want to come and bring this work to India? And I'm like, yes. So it's like looking for sponsors, looking for money. I have the theaters, but really creating all the money to get 15 people on the road to India and perform and pay their fees, everything. So it's like my company.
Kalpana,
sorry? Yes.
Easy.
I know.
What if are you willing to receive the ease of doing as the ease of being that you could truly be?
Yeah.
Are you willing to allow it to be easy?
Absolutely.
Truth? Are you willing to allow it to be easy?
I am now.
So everything that would not allow that time of Godzilla and destroy and create it all, please.
Yes.
Bad Pock and Pot, all 9 shots, boys and beyonds. What if it is easy? What if there are infinite sponsor and people are queuing up to actually sponsor you and support you, but up till now you were not opening the door for them to be a contribution?
That one, yeah. Wow.
So what needs to change?
Actually, just giving up buying other people's points of view about it, and functioning from the ease that I always create with.
I sense that something changed already, because when you started asking the question, you have a sense of, oh my God, it's difficult. Like I have to find the money, I have to get this, I have to do that, I have to do that. What if it's easy?
Yeah, wow. It's, thank you.
Thanks for this, because this relates so much to yesterday too, the ease in being and doing. I was like, oh, it just got the different perspective. I'm like, whoa, this is going to be freaking cool. Because it doesn't matter which part you phrase it in a way of, this is hard there. And I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be really awesome. Thank you.
Everywhere that would not allow us to have the ease of being, the ease of doing, and the ease of receiving. Could we all together destroy and create it all, please? Right or wrong, good or bad, Pock and Pot, all 9 shots, boys and beyonds. What if everything just easy? What would it take for all of our life to come to us with ease, joy, and glory?
You mean it's not just the thing you say?
The mantra, that quoting. What if
it works?
All of our life to come to us with ease, joy, and glory. Can you feel that?
Yeah. Oh, and I just realized the thing that of what I was unwilling to be is actually, because I do create from ease, and it's so not how you create in the art world. So in money and ease, like how do you do that? So this is this willingness to be so different even there. Thank you so much. Wow.
Can I just add another element to that for those of you who like the doing part as well too? And that is, so what if this was easy? And what would need to change for me to make it even easier? What if this was easy? And what would need to change to make this even easier? What if this was easy? And what evidence can I collect that will show me that it's actually easier? What if this was easy? And what would need to change so it could be even easier? So it's melding both the energy of it and also the creating of the change around it as well. And this is a great tool you can use with people. We use this all the time in the boardrooms. So what if this was actually easy? What would need to change? And then you just shut up and listen to the people tell you all the things that would need to change. And then you send them an invoice.
I love it how the question, as you said it, it's like the crack was very thin, and it's like a hairline crack, and then the space opens up more and more as you ask this question.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very cool.
Love it. Thank you so much.
Anything that you do that you still sense that it's not easy, or if anything that is not ease, joy, and glory. And like Steve, the question that Steve just asked, what if it is easy and you keep getting, but it's not. You just have to poke and pot, but it's not. Because it is a lie. Whenever you ask yourself a question, what if it's easy? What if it's joy? What if it's possible for me to create and generate all this with total ease? And if you keep getting, but it's not, you know that it is contextual reality trying to trap you back into it.
And also, I mean, what is easy and what is difficult and what is big and it's also the significance of something being big. Like, what is big? So it's everything contextual about it actually making it supposedly difficult. Yeah. Wow.
And what is big? Sorry, what is big? Big is maybe tiny.
Point of view. Just the point of view.
It could be tiny. It could be humongous.
Yeah.
It could be even huger than huge, but big can be a point of view that keep it small.
That's what I was doing. Yeah, actually as a justification that it should be, or a reason and justification that it should be difficult because it's big. Yeah. Wow.
You was going to say something.
I was just going to say that, and the perfect example. So your point of view about what big is would be no one else's point of view. So why even have a point of view about what big is?
Yeah.
Big in someone else's universe. What you're trying is so big that they can't even conceptualize it or feel it. But in someone else's universe, it'll be minuscule, microscopically minuscule. So it's just the point of views that we take about it. And often if we think something's big or hard or easy, then we put in place all the evidence to show that it's big or hard or easy. And then all the points of view we've got about big or hard or easy, we collect all the evidence to prove that point of view. It's a lot of work. So what if you had no point of view about it?
Yes.
Just have the ease of being, the ease of doing, and the ease of receiving.
Now, this might be an interesting time to segue because Brett sent a question from Georgia that said, Chutisa posted on Facebook the following quote, "Higher levels of conscious choice and intensity of awareness are keys to creating a balanced integration of my trading strategy and operational realities." Will you say more on what are operational realities? So this might be a good segue into a little bit about how you go about actually share trading, because what she's doing is constantly tapping into these conversations with the future. And quite honestly, it's got nothing to do with share trading, even though it is share trading. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
With my share trading, I did actually have to start claim on and acknowledge that I am a conscious CFO of our life. Until I made that choice to be that, I would just allow Steve to do all of the things he loves to do, like sending out the invoice and collecting the cash flow and doing the money. And the day that I have chosen to become a conscious chief financial officer of my own life, I started being in the question about, so what would it take for me to grow and expand our money? What would it take for us to play with the money, that the cash flow and the money that we generate from our business, and double it and triple it and make it grow and expand and be more? And I realized that for me to do that, I have to become a generative asset. You've heard Gary talk about asset and liabilities and all those for the past few classes. And I've heard people asking about what is generative asset? And for me, the only generative asset that truly generative for me is me. So everything else is just something that I could get rid of or lose. It's just an asset. And a lot of them is generative because we'll expand and grow and create more possibility and more money in our reality. But I became aware that for me to be really, really good at being a CFO of my own life, I would have to claim on and acknowledge me being a true generative asset in everything I be and do. So what was the question again? I'm just talking. So to create a balanced integration of my trading strategy. So first, I actually claim on that I am a generative asset. So to create the strategy for me to do the trading, I have to destroy and create so many point of view about things. For example, I used to hate option trading with a passion. I used to go around and say, I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't know why people are doing that. For what reason? You know, all the really anti-conscious questions. I've done all of those about option trading.
How she described that does not really describe the intensity of hate she had for options.
Mm-hmm. And I realized that, hey, this is so interesting. What has option trading done to me for me to have that much intensity and judgment about it? For me to have that much judgment about something that's so nothing like that. It has to be something that going to create such a huge possibility for me. And the day that I actually say, oh, I'm resisting doing here. You know, that thing we said about that yesterday is what you're resisting doing is what you are resisting being. And I was resisting doing trading and option and all those with such intensity that I keep slamming the door shut in the face of the universe about trading strategy that it's so amazing. And from that space, when I realized that, okay, my strategy of doing investing and trading is that everywhere that I have such a strong resisting on doing, that is the place that I have to look at. That is the place where I have to change. And from that space, I realized that option trading is the thing that will provide so much more possibilities if I willing to be the master of it. I'm willing to claim on and acknowledge my capacity to be it. And wow, it's a good example that when I stop resisting of that kind of trading, I am become much more a master of it. So is that answering the?
I still remember this is, and don't forget, this might take some time. It's not as if it's, you know, you change your point of view and everything changes tomorrow. It does change, but it might take some time. I still remember where Chutisa insisted that I sit down with her and share the pain of watching some of the YouTube videos and some of the training programs on options. And once I was willing to share the pain with her on that one, then she got over that point of view as well too. And now she's an absolute master at it. And it's
funny, it's going from that as I don't get it, I don't understand it at all. I don't even get my head around it to, oh, it's so easy. It's, why don't everyone else get it?
Why isn't everyone else doing this?
Why don't everyone else doing it? What? You know, it's so easy. It's a point of view that kept me trapped in not easy to easy. And just tap into my energy. I'm a total demonstration of someone who, once you let go of a fixed point of view that's too hard into something that's so easy, it just creates huger and huge, greater possibility in our financial reality. Mm-hmm. And it just, once we open our awareness to that are the possibilities. You know how often you hear people talking about compound interest and all these sort of things, that people teaching people that if you compound the money, you become rich. And quite often, they never really talk about what that means. And they're always talking about, oh, if you can get 5% interest a year, you'd be able to double your money in 20 years or something along those lines, right? Is it 20 years?
Something like that.
Something, just have to do the calculation. So if that's what you stuck in this reality about being a generative source of your financial reality and buy it, that's real, that if you can get 5% interest for your money, for your any investment, and you could double your money in
20 years,
12 years, 20 years or something like that. I said to Steve, well, that's not good enough. That's not working for me. I mean, that's, what would it take for us to be able to do the concept of compound interest and then double it in a year or less than a year? What would it take for that to happen? So I'm just playing with everything that come into my life and just turn it all upside down. If this reality say that this is how it's supposed to be, I'll be in the question, well, that's not working. What else is possible? How can I turn the compound interest into, double your money in less time than that? So I play with everything.
And she's done it. So and
does that answer your question, Georgia?
It answered nothing. It just opened up so much more.
It answered nothing.
And then the other part I was curious about too, and that just, I'm just so grateful to the way you guys speak about things. They are specific examples, but for me, they've been very easy to tie into other places in my life. So I'm looking at what areas of my business have I been resisting that are actually a generative place that if I had destroyed and created points of view. So thank you. That was a huge aha for me. And I was also wondering, what are operational realities? Those words just stuck out like crazy to me when I read them, but I don't have a sense for what they really are.
Well, being a pragmatic futurist would be.
Yeah, it's
being a pragmatic futurist is operational reality.
Understanding how this reality works. So, educating yourself about things that you need to educate yourself about, and surrounding yourself with a power team of people that can do stuff for you that will help this reality work even easier for you. So that the operational realities, there are things in this reality that we've got to know to make work for us. So damn it, you've got to know what they are. Don't stick your head in the sand about tax. Don't stick your head in the sand about filling in forms. One of the most unfavourite things that I've yet to change my point of view over. But put in place the things that will make all of that easier for you. We've made more money from asking questions of our accountant than we have of any doing that we've put together. Just by simply asking our accountants, so what if that wasn't so? What are the different ways we could look at this? Is there anything that we haven't asked you about this that we could ask you? The thing you've got to understand is that this reality will tell you nothing until you ask it and the people in it questions. So get to work and ask questions of the people surrounding you that will help this reality work for you. So we've got, for example, we're having some plumbing problems at the moment. That's pretty much this reality. And
first world problem.
First world problem. And haven't been able to get hold of the plumber. So I just changed my point of view about that and said, okay, well, I'm no longer going to make this plumber the answer to my questions. As soon as I got over that, he texted me about 20 minutes ago saying, oh, sorry. So, it's just understanding how this reality works and making use of it and surrounding yourself with people that can make your life easier as well, which includes your accountants, it includes your gardeners, it includes your plumbers, it includes everyone around there that will make your life easier. And we find always that the greatest gift we get out of all of that is by asking them questions, because they never get asked questions. Accountants never get asked questions.
So question for you, are you employing this reality to work for you? Or are you an employee of this reality?
Wow. Is that specifically for me, Chutisa, or were you posing that?
For everyone. But you can answer for people. You can talk to me about it, Georgia. So are you employing this reality to work for you?
I would say I've been doing that ever since I was a little girl, and that's actually a huge interest to me, employing this reality. Yeah.
Cool. I sense that, yeah.
Thank you.
And what else is possible?
So Maureen's asked a question, and she said, when are people creating for themselves and when for the bigger whole? which is the bigger picture. And I think the thing for that is, the question for us always is, so what will this create for us and for the world generally?
Creating from the kingdom of we. So everything we do, we'll always ask the question, would that create greater possibility for me, for the world, and for everyone concerned? So it's always about the kingdom of we. We were playing with something the other day about when I asked Steve that if we have $500 million giving to us right now, what are we going to do with that? Right? And it's not about going and doing anything. What contribution can we be with that money to generate and create a better world? We have been putting together for ourselves is called a Better World Initiative. So any project that we feel or we sense that it's going to create a better world for us, for everyone concerned, we would just go in and choose it. For example, facilitating riches for you. That's very much as coming out of, a blue that we choose to do it because we know that it's going to be the way that we create and generate a better world from just us talking about it and being it and demonstrating that the access tools really works. We use it. We made the demand of ourselves to use it and be it, and it truly works. And that's why we are running Riches for You, for a better world.
And the interesting thing is, and a great question, Maureen, thanks for asking it, is that how many ways are there of doing anything? Well, the answer is an infinite number of ways of doing anything. So what if we looked at what we were doing and just tweaked it a little bit so it would actually have an impact on the world as well? Because it can. So everything that we do, if you just have that as a point of view, okay, so how is this going to create change in the world? It might end up with just being an article that you write based on something that you're doing. Or it could be that you go and speak to someone else about it. Or it could be that it has you've expanded your awareness just a little bit further out to include the whole world. But everything that we do can have an impact on the world and everyone around us if we're willing just to tweak it just a little bit by having that as a point of view. So when are people creating for themselves and when for the bigger whole? When their point of view is just creating it for themselves or creating it to be the kingdom of we. And when you're willing to tweak things, then you're willing to actually be the innovation that you truly are, because everything is out there, is available to us. And true innovation, again, is where you're connecting all these dots that you're refusing to see that are actually out there trying to get the future to whisper at you and have a conversation with you about taking note of it. So everything you do, Dom, this one's for you as well, right? Everything you do, what can you do to tweak it so it actually has an impact on the world as well? What would that look like? Because you can, if you've got that as a point of view.
What if everything you do, what if all of the choices that you make are for the betterment of everyone concerned? And it might look like you're growing your bank account as well. But what if, as your bank account is growing, what if that also generate and create for everyone concerned? It's not inclusive. It's not exclusive. If you function from inclusive, from the kingdom of we, then you would be making choices that would be expansive and more generative for you. It will have to come from for you first, because if you come from the altruistic thing that I'm just doing it for everyone concerned, I'm not doing it for me, how limited is that? How much are you denying you? So it has to be what can we create and generate for me, for the world, and for everyone concerned? You can't just do for one or not for the other.
And it also means that, please don't think this means being a doormat where people can actually come and do what they like in your space, right? One of the things we often find, and I certainly find in the work I do, is that, look, I'm willing to include anyone if they change their point of view so that they will be included. But I will not include people that will not change their point of view on something. So it's interesting when we say do it for the bigger whole and for everyone concerned. And anyone can be part of what it is that we're creating. Anyone, as long as they've got a point of view that they're going to be the co-contribution and not the whatever it is they've decided they want to be. So I will include anyone and also leave it up to them to make the choices so that they can be included. And that's very different than excluding someone. Okay, keep the questions coming.
What other question have you got? Anyone?
So one of the things that we talked about and that we keep coming back to, and I just want to reiterate this for everyone, is when we're talking about conversation with the future, it's not about trying to define what that future is going to be. Pam, get this? It is about tapping into the energy, being aware of what the future is telling us of the possibilities without trying to define what those possibilities are. Tapping into that energy and then using that energy, being aware of that and being that energy right now as you start creating. And the creating doesn't mean necessarily doing. Things will come to your awareness, absolutely guarantee it. Pam, in 3 months' time, I want you to email us and tell us the things that have changed in your life once you've tapped into this energy. And I guarantee it won't be anything you've got any inkling of at the moment, but it is there because you have a taste of the excitement and the expansiveness of that future. You've already got that taste now.
I also have a question for Dom. Dom, from our conversation today, do you have any awareness of what can you be and do different in the meeting that you're going to be participating in now?
Yes, I think I do. I say some of it is just coming up with being more of an allowance of other people's points of view. I've tended to go into resistance and reaction when people have just come up against the wall. So I guess if I get myself into more allowance, we can.
Dom, can I suggest allowance and manipulation go very nicely hand in hand?
Okay, I haven't been that willing to add the manipulation. Thank you.
Yeah, I know. I could tell that. So have fun with the manipulation. Do it shamelessly. You know, one of the best manipulations is to tell people that you're about to manipulate them.
Okay.
Have fun with that one. Or the other thing I have a lot of fun with is, and you've seen me do it a couple of times on this call, is where I say, now, Dom, I'm about to manipulate you. Now, everyone else watch this, but Dom, you keep quiet because I'm going to manipulate you. And then you do it, and then all of a sudden you're receiving the manipulation and you're willing to actually change to have fun with that.
But you might not use the word manipulation either. You use the words that you know the people can receive, the people that you are with. You could manipulate them by saying, you know what? What I'm just about to say, you probably hate it.
Perfect.
You probably disagree with me in totality, but I'm going to say it anyway. You know what I mean? You just said things to say that you know what people can receive, so you don't go and say, you don't have to use exact word every time. But if you know that these people are going to resist you, you're going to say, oh, I know that you're going to hate this. And then sometimes they would defend themselves and say, no, I don't hate it. Yeah.
The other thing that's really good, Dom, that you might use, no one else use it because this one's just for Dom, is, okay, so now some of you are going to get pissed off with me in the next minute or so. That's guaranteed no one will get pissed off with you because they're all going to say, well, it's not going to be me. No, I'm not going to be. It actually
I do this when I have to make the dancers like dance again, like really hard. I'm like, I know you want to kill me now, but we have to do it one more time. And it works really well because it actually takes away. Yeah.
Yeah. I still need to learn how to deal more with the passive aggressive behavior that I see exhibited,
So
where people come in. Sorry.
What does passive aggressive mean to you?
Okay, so it means basically they'll nod and agree with everything you're saying, sitting in the room, and then as soon as they leave, they're off sticking little knives and trying to basically just. They'll have a side conversation afterwards about all the areas where what you said or what were said in the meeting were wrong.
Okay.
So they won't change, or
Yeah.
they'll agree to change their point of view, and then they'll go out and stick with the same fixed point of view they came into the meeting.
Yeah. Welcome to the world of people.
So can Dom call out, can actually call on this passive aggressive? Are you willing to actually play with them? Are you willing to see them as something to have fun with? What would that look like?
Okay, let me give you a little tool, Dom.
Okay.
You ready?
Ready.
At the end of the meeting, you summarize what everyone has said, and you summarize the agreed message that everyone will go out with. You summarize the agreed message that everyone will go out with. And then when you hear something different, at the next meeting, you say, okay, so we'd agreed these were the messages, but I've also heard that that some of you have been putting this other message out there. What's going on? Call the behavior out.
Let's say you have, let's say we can come up with a man called Charlie. And if he's just sitting there as aggressive, like agree with you with everything, could you actually look at him and say, hey, I just want to reiterate again, that's what I said. Do you have any yes but here? You know, and then
yeah.
Could that work?
I think it might work for that conversation, but it's not going to stop them because that's their behavior. I mean, never be surprised. You're not going to stop someone going out and white ante because they'll there's not much between them and a local council politician that will go out and say what they want to just to get the support that they need. You're not going to change that. That's who that person is. You know, if that person's a rattlesnake, they'll always be a rattlesnake. So it's how you choose to be with that that's important, not necessarily you changing their behaviour. But you can get them to stop it potentially if you call them out on it and actually start off the meeting with a summary of, okay, if you heard of any other conversation going out there. You've got to be, every one of you, you've got to be willing to be vilified by others. You've got to be willing to do what needs to be done and have no point of view about it. You've got to be willing to be the prick that you know that you are when you need to be that. And it's not about being nice. It's about changing behaviour. Because the one thing that you shouldn't allow to occur is the change that you know is possible. And the one thing that's not negotiable to me is the creation of the change that I know is possible. And if anyone's getting in the road of that change that I know is possible, then you do what you got to do. And you have no point of view about it. Hey, let's face it, they don't like you anyway. Who cares?
No, I like that. I've seen a lot of that, and the last 2 or 3 years I have been employed as a change agent at work.
Yeah.
But it's, nobody teaches you how to be the change agent.
No, that's right. They just give you a title because you seem to be better at it than most others. With some of these tools, and in particular the question, and Dom, if I can just please get this, be the chair that you know that you are. Because it can totally change those meetings. It won't change the person, but it'll change the conversation. And also, when you hear of the, do we speak with one voice from this meeting is not something that's occurring in your meetings at the moment. And these people, whilst you might label them as passive aggressives, they're not. They're just pricks. They're going out there and they're trying to destroy what was going on. So just be aware of that. And you might, the people they're talking to, maybe even alert those people that when so-and-so comes to you, they're probably going to tell you the opposite of what we talked about at the meeting. I just want you to be aware of that.
Tom, what does being a change agent means to you?
Someone who can instigate or start up a greater possibility or greater possibility than what we are currently doing? I know there's different ways of doing it, different ways of moving forward. So how do you go about being that change?
So when you were the change agent, were you doing a change agent or were you being the change agent? What are the two different energy here?
Doing, not being.
Mm-hmm. So okay. What would it be like to know that all those doing will have to happen for change to happen? What would it be like if you be a change agent first before you have to do the change that have to happen? Play with that energy. What would it be like to totally be the catalyst for change? Be the change agent by being a catalyst for change. So the being come first and the doing will be part of it. Once you can actually get the being across, the doing will be easy. So the ease of being first and then the ease of doing change will come along.
Okay, I'm starting to get that.
Mm-hmm. So what does being a change agent to you now, after we just have a conversation about being versus doing? What do you have to be and do different now to be the change agent first?
I have to
answer me. You have to be aware of that yourself. Who would you have to be the catalyst for different possibilities in every places that you go to in your meeting that will create greater possibilities for you, for the company, for everyone concerned, and for the world? What being the change agent would be like, and tap into that energy of not just doing change agent, but being change agent, and be that energy during any meeting or any work that you are doing with people.
And this, folks, is the gift of Right Riches for you. It's all about the being and the willingness to be and the willingness to do and the interconnectedness of those elements. And you'll see this permeate everything, and we'll come back to it again in the next telecall as well too, because we can give you all the strategies and all the techniques and some great fun stuff about how to deal with people and meetings and corporates, and if you're not in that space, then how to deal with family, which is, you know, sometimes tougher than corporates, because at least corporates sometimes are willing to change. So there's all sorts of techniques, but the whole notion of being this and the interrelation with doing, because often we try and do things without actually the being. What was that phrase that you used before that's very powerful?
The ease of being and the ease of doing and the ease of receiving. If you don't choose to put anything else in place, just to play today of what would it take for you to beginning to be the ease of being, the ease of receiving, and the ease of doing. At the end, you have to do something to actually fix physical actualizing. If you're just being and receiving, and if you want something to happen, to physical actualize and not willing to do it, it's just not going to happen. So you have to have all three simultaneously.
Okay, time for one more question from anyone.
Hi, I had a question.
Yay.
So when you have to send emails to corporates about a plan that you have,
yeah,
I keep finding myself like I have this world where it's all about consciousness, and then there's this world that's not quite ready to really receive that. So how do you create like a bridge
just sort of manipulate them into choosing your program and then then doing what you actually want to do. So
first of all, get over your point of view that they're not willing to receive, and get over your point of view that it's something that they need and that they're interested in. Because from those points of view, whatever email that you write will actually reflect all of that. So in all of this, understand that you're not talking to corporates. You're talking to people. There's no such thing as a corporate. It's just a bunch of people. And so tap into what that person, not the corporate, tap into what that person is willing to receive. And to do that, you might do a little bit of research on them, or you might actually give them a phone call, and you might actually ask them, so what is it that I need to be able to provide you that will make it easier for you to see how this will fit within your organisation? Ask them for some advice on how best to go about it. But often it's picking up of the phone. Sending an email out is the easy way to getting no result. Actually having some sort of interaction with the person. And this is the one thing I say to everyone, is that there's no such thing as a corporate. It's just people. And if you understand people, then you'll be able to work with corporates, because they're no different. They might have a different language. Well, that's easy to learn. Just throw the word strategy in every now and then. And if you really want to get them excited, throw in the word risk. And don't confuse them with language that they're not familiar with. But be that question in your own right. So when you're talking to or writing to corporates, just be aware that you're not talking to or writing to corporates. You're actually dealing with an individual, a person. And it's that person that you need to connect with, not the corporate.
What do you write to them about?
I didn't hear you.
What do you write the email to them about?
So like, to give you a recent example, I have to put together a program on leadership for this company and their managers and things like that. The person who recommended me to this company has actually attended an Access intro. So he actually liked that and wanted me to sort of have that for the company. However, the email has gone to somebody who wasn't there at the Access intro. So now my email has a bunch of Access stuff and a bunch of corporate things, but I'm not sure whether the other person's going to be able to receive this. Because
so are you writing for the person that will read the email? Are you writing for the decision maker who's going to choose to have you coming in to work with them or not? I think when you write the email, you have to tap into who's going to be reading this email. What do they require of you? What do they need to hear and receive from you to make that choice easier? If you write it from your own space of, I want to give them this, it's different from the space of, what would this person require? What would they like to have? And write your email from that space.
See, one of the things is that Access does not require you to use Access Speak. Access requires...
I actually wrote a lot of stuff from your book, Conscious Leadership.
Uh-huh.
And then I had this whole point of view that, oh my God, this is like, are they going to get bored reading some of it? Like nothing, like it's not, like a lot of points of views came up when I started writing this email as to, okay, am I using the right language? Am I not using the right language? Is there something I'm not being? Is there something I'm not doing? There's a whole lot of doubt sort of pops in every time I sit to write an email, especially to corporates.
You're making it very hard. Destroying and create of the point of view that this is too hard, too difficult, and it's not fun. Would you be willing to now destroy and create of that point of view that it is too hard, too difficult, and not fun?
Yes.
Yes? Everything that is Tamagotchi, destroy and uncreate it all, please. Right or wrong, good or bad, Pokemon Pot, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. And now, start writing from the space. What do you know who's going to be reading your email? Do you know who that person is?
Yes.
Okay. Well, tap into his or her energy and become aware of what that person required to make that choice easier. Because don't forget, even though they're the leader or the person who's going to make the choice, they have to be willing to make the choice that will benefit for everyone concerned. If they're going to spend the money to bring you in, they will have to make the choice that will benefit all the people that will receive your training. So right from that space of what they would require from you, how would that benefit them? Not from the space of what you're going to do to them. It's more from the space of what they would like to have.
And if you're willing to get outside of this reality, the other things you might want to consider is, for example, you've already had someone from that organization attend some of your classes. Why not get a little 30-second video snap of them talking about what they got out of this and that they think this would be useful for the organization? Have that as a link in your email so that there's actually an automatic connection. What if you did up a little a little web page with that organization's name on it to show them the sorts of things that are possible there, and have a couple of people that have come along from the corporate sector talk about the insights they got from it and send that as a link as well. It doesn't have to be what everyone else does, which is buy me, choose me, right? Function from that space of the choosing one rather than the chosen one. Did we talk about that last time?
Not yet. No. But you know, a lot of people write
cool.
email just to sell and trying to get people to buy something. What would it be like if you write the proposal from a totally different place, from a place that you will create greater possibility for them? What would it be like if you have totally different energy in the email that make them want to click and open the email and say, I want to know more? It's energy. It's not the words you use. First, it has to come from the energy that you're using to create that email. At the moment, the energy is, this whole email is so hard and so not much fun. No one wants to receive that email that coming from that space. So everywhere that you're starting to write the proposal or anything for the contract and for the job proposal, if you feel that the whole thing is difficult, hard, and not much fun, you have to be willing to destroy and create all of that, take you away from it, and then come back when it is ease, joy, and glory.
And you'll find you write things totally different. Every time we've sent out an email that has been from the sheer fun and hilariousness of it, we've always got responses back that are far greater than what we expected. Every time, if I sit down and I try and write something from it, I don't really want to have to do it. It shows. It might just be the one word in there, but it shows that that's the space that you've written it from.
How about this? Well, before you write the email, just say, oh, all of life come to me with ease, joy, and glory. And just keep doing it until you write it. You come from writing from totally different place. You get the right words for it. You know the energy that people will be willing to receive.
Yeah. Sounds like you're pretty much on the right track in terms of, you know, those things that you mentioned were doubts. What if they were just questions that had no point of view attached to them? Now, the only time you've got a doubt is when there's a question with a point of view attached to it. If you have that same question with no point of view attached to it, it is then a true question. So get rid of any points of view about it and just be those questions. They were great questions, every single one that you asked. Unfortunately, they all had points of view attached to them as well. Get rid of that.
Yeah.
On the right track.
Okay, yeah. Right.
Right.
Thank you.
Yes, but there. So what is a but?
She's onto something.
I think it's still somewhere in my space think it's like it's not fun.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
What would need to change for it to be fun?
Alcohol.
Yeah.
No, you need to ask that. What needs to change for it to be fun? And look, if it's not fun, don't write it. That's one thing. It's waste your time, your energy, and everything. Until you, if it's not fun, don't do it. That's my thing. And until you can actually say, what needs to change for it to be fun? You know, and keep asking that. What needs to change for it to be fun? If it's not fun, why are you choosing to do it? You know, like something, what else that could be more fun for me to do? So just keep being that question. And seriously, I would not write proposal or email for anyone if it's not fun. Come from fun, ease, joy, and glory. What would it take for all of your life come to you with ease, joy, and glory while you're writing the proposal?
It actually works. We use this all the time, and it does work. Okay, so let's finish this one off. What we've been chatting about today is a whole range of different things, but really dealing with people again is the willingness to, the ease of being is also the ease of doing. And what if we started to function from that space so that they were actually working with each other rather than against each other? And some of the tools and the techniques that we've talked about here, if you've ever heard the word corporate, then just change that to the word family, because it's very similar. So hope you found it very interesting. We will send out the recordings in the next couple of hours once we've figured out the best way of doing that. And we look forward to having a chat with you at the next call tomorrow.
Having more questions tomorrow.
Bring the questions along.
Yay!
Okay. Thank you, folks. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
You have something to say, Georgia? You just...
I'll just say thank you.
Yeah.
I'm just really grateful.
Thank you so much. Bye.
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 Bye.